probably. You're live. All right. We're live.
Hi.
This is only our second live, so we're still getting used to it. Hello and good evening.
All right,
We will wait. I don't remember how we did this. It's so funny. I love that we've done this one other time.
One other time. So we see people
Yes.
here. We're like, where's the chat?
Live chat. Live chat is set up. And we are ready to go. Tonight we are talking about Yule. Just some discussions, light, easy discussions. We don't want to make anything too heavy. We're doing a little bit of history because I love that. I love knowing where things come from and how it all plays together, how we got to here. I was explaining that to Kat before starting, just how you can dive so far into looking at how we got here with our holidays, traditions, the mix of everything, and how to feel okay about, being a witch or somebody practicing spirituality that maybe doesn't associate with a religion, and the things that go on during the holidays that don't have to have a religious meaning around it. So we're going to give everybody a couple minutes to get in. I know we were still getting messages on how to find us because we're normally on Zoom and we have a link to join. But we are live on YouTube.
We're live on YouTube. Well, so hello.
Hello, Reba.
Happy Yule.
Happy Yule.
Natasha.
Leslie.
Amaro.
And Jenny. Hi, you guys. Thank you for joining us tonight. I didn't pour my drink yet into my cup, so I'm going to do that now because I often talk a lot and then don't have the ability to speak without choking, Can
we increase the size of that so I can read it or no?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought we could last time.
Okay,
so we'll give everybody a minute to get here.
Yes, just a couple minutes. And I did put the chat on slow mode so that things come through a little slower, so that we have a chance to grab things and look back at questions. Again, it's only our second live. We're still kind of learning how to do this. But it was easier than setting the Zoom up and having everybody come to that. And then this just posts right to YouTube when we're done, which is so great.
Mm-hmm.
There's
no editing.
No editing. It just is ready for instant replay. I love that about it.
So do you want me to go over, kind of cover our agenda before we...
This is information just on the solstice.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
You can, absolutely.
Well, I was just going to go, so what we're going to talk about is what time of year this is, which is beginnings and rebirth. We're going to talk about what we can do, as witches, what do we do specific things like rituals that we can do.
Yes.
And then we're going to talk about, and there's a lot of those, by the way, a lot of things that we can personally do as witches on this journey.
Actionable items,
things that we can do at this time that jive with, or
they're in alignment.
Thank you.
They're in alignment. In alignment with
they're in alignment with the season and the vibrations and all of the things that are going on, because this is a really I would not have known this 4 years ago as a non-witch. I would not have known any of these things that I'm looking at, that Jamie wrote this list that we're going to talk about tonight.
Yes.
So it's super interesting, especially for anybody who's brand new to witchcraft and you're not really sure, okay, how are we blending these holidays? Because I've always celebrated holidays with my families, and we have these traditions, and we go to church, and we have certain meals, and we have certain rituals that we do as families. We all grew up with them. Yeah. So now, how as adults, and more specifically as a new witch, how do we blend these together? So that is going to be the focus of our conversation tonight.
Yes.
And Jamie's been reading and studying all day long, fascinating stuff about the history of religions, oh my gosh, if I could just study religion, I think it would be so fascinating just to understand.
The
origins of it. How did we, not the oranges, but the origin.
We can study the oranges too. And
how did we get here?
That's actually a good symbol for this holiday that I did
not
put down.
It actually
is. Good improv there, Kat. Good job. I love oranges in all holidays just because they're a symbol of success. So it doesn't have to be this one, but you will find people making the dried orange garland during the Yule season.
Yep.
And it's success and prosperity, which when you really look at all of our holidays, every single one is going to try to look towards being successful, being prosperous, being grateful. Those are always intertwined in everything that we do. It's always taking time to acknowledge what we're grateful for, what our higher purposes that we're trying to live out. How do we become better? How do we live more wealthy, meaning health and wealth, right? That we're not wanting and sad and in this dark place of loneliness. Okay, I'm getting off on a thing now.
Okay, so as typical with our meetings, it's 7:05. In case you don't know who we are, I'm Kat. This
I'm
is Jamie.
Jamie.
We're the New Witch. What are we?
We're the New Witch Academy of Modern Magic.
Formerly Seven Green Sisters.
It's been like 4 months of saying that. And we are here to help educate new witches or people interested in the witchcraft journey, spirituality, and just understanding energies. We were talking to somebody today about what does it really mean? What's the witchcraft journey really about? And I think it comes down to understanding energies and exploring that and working with them and diving deeper into yourself, knowing your own energy. So
yeah, you can do a whole thing like, what is a witch? Like, really, what is a witch? Because it's not
besides the label. It's not the label.
Yeah, well, and it's not the movies.
Bigger.
It's not Hollywood. It's not the movies. So it's like this whole other thing. It's a journey. It's a transformation.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Well, yes, that's what.
Hopefully, not everybody.
That's what we teach.
Yeah,
that's
so
what
it's
you'll
a spiritual
find.
transformation. Yes. So that's what I've been on since I started almost 4 years ago. So
I was telling her she's not going to be able to call herself a new witch forever.
I can't say I'm a new witch anymore.
All right. I want to go ahead and start because I would love to tell you guys sort of how we got to this place. And I'm going back like 4,000 years, okay? Only so that you can understand all of the different lines of things that happen to get us to this place of a combined holiday season. That's the best way to put it, because not only do we have Christmas as the Christian holiday, we have Yule or winter solstice as the pagan holiday, but there's also the time of Hanukkah, which is the Jewish holiday. I'm sure there are more. I do not have them memorized. I looked at these main three because my neighbor is Jewish. I grew up around a lot of Christians, tried to be one at one time, tried to figure out the religion, and ultimately chose to be a pagan or a witch, chose this path for myself. So the earliest, in case you guys didn't know, and if you love trivia, this is great. The oldest religion in the world that's documented, oldest religion, is Hindu. So if you know anything about the Hindu religion, this is many, many gods and goddesses and deities and lots of representations. And this was huge. So it is the oldest documented religion. Next, after that, would be the Celtic, Irish, pagan religions that were untouched for thousands of years, that don't have a lot of writing with them, but there's ceremonial evidence that they existed as far back as 10,000 years ago. So without having writing in them. Then Judaism is next. I hope I'm saying that right?
Judaism,
which is about 3,700 years old. And it has an important part because Judaism was a lot like the Irish and Celtic religions, where they were people in a small area in the world that nobody really bothered or paid attention to, and nothing intrusive happened. They practiced their religion for a couple thousand years before people started coming in and messing with them. So they really stuck to their own area of the world, just like the Celts, the Irish, the people of the upper European region. So then enter the Greeks. Okay, so you do have smaller cultures like the Phoenicians who gave us the alphabet, but enter the Greeks. It's one of the most known, especially in witchcraft. We have Greeks, the Greek gods and goddesses, which then trickles down into the Roman Empire. So now we're at the Roman Empire about 2,500 years ago. It goes through lots of ups and downs, but the biggest thing about the Roman Empire that gives weight to this date, to the Christian holiday of Christmas, and as witches, how we all celebrate together, is in 325, Constantine, not like the awesome movie that Keanu Reeves did, because I love that movie, but the historical figure of Constantine. He was in charge of the Roman Empire, and this is when Christianity was tolerated but not accepted. So there were higher taxes on Christians. They were often put into slavery. It was the slave religion back then. So anybody who was, I don't know if slavery is right, or indentured servant or whatever the word would be for that back then, but people that were not in high standing, they were Christian. They believed in that religion. That's what they practiced. Now, the problem with that is there was no like religious law. There were no sect writings. There was nothing outlined for every group. So you had like hundreds of different ways of practicing Christianity, each coming from its own people. Well, Constantine decided on the day of a big war, you guys can read about it if you're history buffs, but on the day of a big war, he decided he was going to take Rome from the Roman, the polytheistic God system to Christianity. That one factor, that one thing in 325 AD led Christianity to become one of the biggest religions in the world, because with Constantine behind Christianity, he created rules and regulations. He gave lands and property back to Christians that they were confiscated from. And he came up with how the nativity scene came about. So imagine you're in charge of 60 million people and you just changed everybody's religion. You're like, hey guys, 60 million of us, only 3 million at the time were Christian. 60 million people now have to go from being a pagan and worshiping, polytheistic, lots of gods, goddesses, people responsible for how the crops do and what happens with their babies and whatever. Now it's just Jesus or the embodiment of God or whatever. So he had to change it. How could he change 60 million people's minds? People were wondering, well, how did Jesus come about? Where's the origin story, right? All the gods and goddesses had origin stories about how they were born, who's their mom and dad, when were they born, when do we celebrate them? They all had their own holidays. They have months named after them, days named after them. And we're going to throw Jesus in there and be like, everybody accept this. This is now what we're doing. So he got together at the Council of Nicaea, which is a really big deal. That's also historically written down and people know about it. They created a doctrine called the Trinity. Does that sound familiar to anybody? The Trinity, it doesn't say, what is it, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. They don't figure that out at this meeting in 326 AD. But what they do figure out is they voted and they decided that Jesus was the embodiment of God, or no, God became human and embodied Jesus of Nazareth. And that is what they decided. So they created the nativity scene to be in conjunction with the solstice because other holidays fell in this same week. We had Saturnalia, which was the festival of Saturn, right? This is the turning of tides. It's the sun king coming back into life. Like all the dark days have passed and now the sun's going to grow in strength. So Saturn was the god of agriculture. So this meant you can start celebrating the fact that we're going to be able to have greenery and eat again, which is why we have things like the Christmas tree and the wreath and stuff like that, bringing in the green so that we can honor, what doesn't die. Okay. I want to look at this because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. But
okay.
So they voted to say that Christ was the essence of God manifest as Jesus. And then they dictated. So it was right then in 326 AD that they actually wrote a whole lesson about how they're going to practice Christianity. So in the 300 years before that, nobody had a way of practicing. It was just free to practice however you wanted. And if you practiced both religions, or if you had symbolism in your Christianity that was pagan still, because that was in everybody's everyday life. Like this was in your community all around you, right? All of these holidays. So to give it that quick change meant that you had to uproot or stop people from celebrating their old holidays. And since that was too hard, it's speculated. It's not proven, but it's speculated. And I think it's pretty much common sense that they would put the birth of Jesus along with the sun coming back. And literally, it's the sun's return. So you could think of it as the sun, S-U-N's return, or you can think of it as S-O-N returned, or rebirth, or God rebirth. So the sun gods during that time, this was the time of year that all of that happened. So I think sticking it all together is like, I think it makes sense. I don't think that anybody would argue the common sense of that. It's not like these people were idiots. They knew what they were doing. He knew that he could win people over. And although Constantine personally said he was Christian, he did not get baptized or practice Christianity until he was on his deathbed. So that I think he just did the smarter thing for his kingdom. He saw Christianity was up and coming and that everybody who had polytheistic God, or they were all like going to war with each other. People kept trying to take over cities. So he thought, let's go to this one love, one church, one God kind of motto. United. It became a united front to rule a country. So many historians believe that it was more strategic than it was religious or spiritual, or like he really believed. But that is the story of how the nativity and the birth of Jesus came to be centered at the same time as Yule. because it wasn't
And
celebrated
if you-
until then.
And if you
Christmas.
want to learn about this on your own, so some of the sites that Jamie used for her research
Yes.
were World History and History.com.
worldhistory.org, and then of course history.com, like the channel where they're constantly looking at stuff, archaeological facts, things they find, updating stuff. So I find it a great resource when I'm really trying to find fact over fiction or opinion.
Yeah.
It's a site that I trust. So that is where I get my information from, especially for today. I wanted to get the dates right and just what was actually written down, what can we prove, or what's in a museum somewhere that they know is a fact.
So we do know that Jesus was not, that December 25th
Is not his birthday. No.
Jesus' actual
Right.
birthday.
And nobody really bucks up against that. They just needed to be told something to believe in. That was kind of what people wanted. If they were going to become Christian, they needed facts to celebrate it, and then they needed alignment. And so aligning it with the solstice is why we have these holidays that all come together. There is another holiday which was close to where the Jewish people lived, and it's the holiday of Mithra. And I hope I'm saying it right because I didn't look up how to say it, but it's Mithra, Mithra. And that was the god. He was supposedly a physical person born and then elevated to godhood, if that's a word. That was the bringer of truth and light. I think that sounds pretty similar to things that they say about the holiday of Christmas, right? Or of Jesus, that the bringer of truth and light or something like that.
Something
to
like
illuminate the world, to bring truth and enlightenment or whatever. That's more Buddha, enlightenment. But the lighting, so when we see Christmas lights, when we see candles, when we see fire being something, you've got transformation and rebirth, all comes from these holidays. All right, there's only one last one. So during Constantine's rule, the other thing is there were all these little cults, and it's not like cult like dangerous ones today where you get brainwashed and do stupid stuff, but they were considered groups or organizations. And in Constantine's family, they had one called Sol Invictus, which just means sun undefeated, which is another reason to add in that this sun god, the return of the sun, all of the things revolved around the sun for this holiday. I feel like mic drop kind of thing right now because that was a lot of information, and hopefully it was helpful, interesting, and useful to just understand how we got to here and be like, oh, okay, so all these symbolisms really come from old religions, 2,500 to 4,000 years ago, and that's all okay. And it just means, the evergreen is everlasting life or rebirth, something that can't die, something to bring back the green when the sun comes back, that things grow again.
Well, you know what I think the most interesting part about that is it's like somebody decided that this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
So like we're going to change everything in the world that was happening at that time, and everybody's going to fall now under this religion that Constantine's like, okay, everybody's doing their own thing, and now we're all going to do this, and we're all going to fall in line.
Mm-hmm.
And look what happened over in history. If you look at the next, what did you say? That was 25.
So that was 325 AD. So it was like 1,700 years ago.
Okay, so then you look at what happened with Christianity throughout our history and how Christianity was forced upon people.
It was no longer a choice.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of bad things that have happened under the guise of Christianity.
Oh, well, I guess an important thing to mention, because Constantine was the first emperor, he was a ruler of people. When he decided that the empire was going to go and become this new religion of Christianity, they told him that it meant that he is now the symbol of God on earth, and he held the same power to decide things as God would here, because Jesus is no longer around, so he's next in line.
So basically, man anointing himself as the God of everybody and telling us all what to do and how to live. Yeah, you know what I have to say to that, right?
But we are live on YouTube. I cannot edit this.
Sorry.
She's getting feisty.
I'm sorry. See, Natasha said, and it was a man, LOL.
It was a man.
Yeah, not so funny though, right? Not
so,
like LOL, haha.
It's all that's what they consider the Abrahamic, I don't know.
Abrahamic,
religions, where it's one person saying, I'm anointed, chosen to tell everybody else what to do. I have the power. It
the Catholic Church, hello.
It differs slightly from when people were just kings, or they were hereditarily put into power. They didn't rule as gods. After Constantine's rule, this is when artwork, if you've ever seen the artwork where people have like the halos behind them, but they're not Jesus or Mary, they're like there's like popes and I don't know all the names of the people that have church positions. That's when they started putting halos around them, because if you held a position in the order of the Christian religion, or I don't even know, I can't say for sure like the Christian religion, but in the order of like being part of the higher power, right? Like you are now one of God's messengers or people that can tell everybody what to do, and you're holier than thou kind of. You
have
more
the direct,
holy
you
than
actually
others.
have, I think it was that you had the
Direct
direct
to-
line, you had the
Direct-
a direct communication, like, hello, God.
Yeah, it's cell phones.
Yeah.
So we say all this.
Getting direction from the heavens.
A good point in mentioning all of this is not to bash any religion whatsoever. I'm not doing that, because it doesn't mean that everybody who believes in these things is bad. That is not what we're saying at all. And I don't really want to separate us. What I want to do is join the things together to say that we're not separate, that we all came from the same place, that we all had these same beliefs, and we incorporated them as they fit into our lives, and that it should be every single person's choice. It should not be pushed upon you. One of the biggest fights in early Christianity was the fact that babies being baptized. That was a massive fight. I don't know if anybody knows that, but a lot of people believe that you shouldn't be able to be baptized until you choose it. And then other sects were like SECT, sex. I feel like I'm not saying that very well.
You're saying it right.
They said, no, as soon as the baby's born, they have to be baptized. Like, this is the only way. So it's just, and it's all choice. And I guess that's one of the things why we chose to be witches, is because it is about freedom of choice. We get to practice how we want. That's why I say when you read things out of books, these are people's opinions. It's research on something else, but choose what's right for you. I think that by saying all of that stuff about how things were chose for other people, our biggest message is to choose what's right for you. Whatever fits with your heart and soul, like whatever's good for you in your life.
And if that means some of the practices that Christians follow,
yes,
or Jews follow, or Hindu, whoever, whatever religion, if you want to incorporate that as part of your practice as a witch, that's we believe.
Just like with Greek and Roman, I mean, it doesn't matter where you pull your belief system from. It's really for your own spiritual elevation. So if you're doing it for that, there's nothing wrong with that. There's not there shouldn't be a separation. That's what we're all here trying to do, hopefully. Not trying to diss each other and fight, but just all be here to grow ourselves in the best way possible.
Okay.
Yes.
So that was our history.
With winter solstice, Kat is going to read about some of the stuff. Where's okay, I have them here. All right.
No,
the smells. No, we're gonna bring out some of the herbs or spices for the season, and I want to smell them and get Kat's reaction on like what she thinks what does it remind her of?
Something I just like came across, which I hadn't really connected this dot perhaps, is that this is a time, because we are at the shortest day.
Longest night,
rather. The longest night.
Shortest day,
longest night.
Yes.
So, and so from here forward, the days get longer. Yes. So this, I know, right? Who's happy about that? I'm thrilled. I just love the sun. So what this time represents is a time of beginnings and rebirth. And I never really thought about it like that before, that it is actually a time of rebirth and beginnings, because we're beginning this whole new phase where the days are getting longer, and it will culminate with the summer solstice when we have the longest day. Did I say that right?
You did. Yes. I'm so proud of you. Look at this.
I'm getting confused. Is the shortest night the longest day?
No,
whatever.
Those are the same. Shortest day and longest night are the same, and the longest day, shortest night are the same.
All right.
So I only have the text. I only have numbers for a few of the witches in the meetup, but if you guys want a little exercise that's really fun over the next couple days, if you have a oh my gosh, now I'm forgetting the name of the thing. What's it called? Sundial. If you have a sundial.
Yeah, you were telling me about the sundial.
Yes, if you have a sundial, put it outside. Noonish is best, and take a picture of it, and you will see the longest shadow of the year.
And you can do this with your own shadow too. This is the time when your own shadow is.
But it's easier to measure. So what you would want to do is like create a measurement with that. So the sundial does it for you. But if you do your own shadow, somebody should mark it.
Everyone should have a sundial in their yards for sure.
I don't have one. I use my house as my sundial actually. because the way that it casts the shadow, I have a butterfly garden on the side of my house. So in the wintertime, it's pretty much a shade garden. And in the summertime, it's almost a full sun garden. So I have to be careful about what I plant there because it's in 6 months, it's going to receive full Florida sun, which a lot of plants cannot take. So, and then in the wintertime, they don't want to bloom any flowers because they don't get enough sun to bloom. So it's something that is really cool to see, that if right now you end up taking a picture of something where the shadow is the longest that it can be, and then on June 21st or 22nd of next year, when it's the summer solstice, you can see that even at noontime, you barely have a shadow because the sun is so direct over you that your shadow almost just sits right underneath. There's not an elongation of it. So a cool little project for you to do if you're interested.
Okay,
Okay,
so
you're going to
with
talk.
the rebirth, with the themes of beginnings and rebirth, this is also a time for wisdom after reflection.
So we get the wisdom from the reflecting. That's why that's important. It is a time for wisdom, but you have to do your reflecting first.
All right, so we look inward before facing the world and ready to take action. Our inward journey can include things like meditation, sleep. Oh Lord,
good sleep. There's more night.
And I love my sleep. I don't know. I love my sleep. I think it was years of working 2 jobs and not sleeping. So now I'm like, I really like my sleep.
Sometimes 3 jobs.
Healing work, reflection, like shadow work, writing, journaling about what's going on with you. What have you been doing?
Well, and with healing work, Mom, because all the family members are together at this time, oftentimes holidays can be really hard for people because there are more gatherings, there was more face-to-face meetings, and you're supposed to be in this like joyous, love everybody, light up the world.
And families sometimes aren't all that
you're
great.
You're mad at people, or you're like, we never resolved our 2021 issue of whatever. So
well, and sometimes you even have situations where you've got like parents that you're still dealing with childhood crap
families
from that's never really been resolved. So then you have these gatherings that are supposed to be all joyful and everybody happy, but there's this underlying vibration of we haven't healed, we haven't resolved a situation, or there's just still something there that is lurking in the background that's making you not feel quite in the spirit of the season.
But the spirit of the season is to reflect and rebirth. So if you have it in you to accept what's happened, work through it on your own and say that, most situations are not your fault that happen from other people. It's what was going on with them. It just came out on you. When you work through that and you say, it's not my fault, that wasn't meant for me. It wasn't supposed to happen to me. I didn't deserve it. And then and I'm not telling you to let it go, but work through it as far as saying, you don't hold yourself accountable for the actions that other people did to you. It's not your fault.
Well, I'm going to speak from my own personal experience. And I can just tell you that letting go of it and forgiving, if you had a parent that you had like abuse, abandonment, or any other kind of childhood trauma, neglect, any other kind of childhood trauma where you had a crappy parent or two.
An absent parent,
just all of those things, because we're all dragging this stuff around, from when we were little kids.
Yeah.
It's really it's really helpful to forgive. So for me, my personal experience with my own father who abandoned me, I went and told him that I loved him and I forgave him, and I didn't feel it when I said it, but I said it anyway. And it was only after the fact where I felt good about saying it. But I knew that I needed to say it so that I could, it's like you say the words and then you do the thing, or you feel the thing, or the thing comes to fruition in your heart. And it did. So if you're dealing with a situation like that with any family members, because this is a big time of family gatherings and just family, like all the crazy aunts and uncles come together, and the cousins that you don't see but once a year.
Unhealthy boundaries and relationships.
And everybody's like drinking and stuff like that. And you're like, oh God, can we get this week over really quickly?
It becomes draining. I mean, this is why sleep and recuperation is part of this holiday, because there is a lot of celebrating. There's a lot of putting yourself out there, and even being forced into joyous occasions that don't feel joyous to you can all be really draining. So that's why sleep was on there, and healing work, journaling about it. You don't
And-
have to figure it out. You just write about it. You can figure it out in the coming months. Like there's Pisces season. Wait till Pisces season. Where Capricorn season's starting. You got some Aquarius stuff where you need some good friends to lean on. And then you can do your Pisces season reflection, journal work, dreaming, really going through it and analyzing what happened during this holiday season.
So a couple of other things that you can do this time of year that is an energetic alignment, thank you, with this season is looking back and reflecting on your accomplishments for the past year.
Yes. I have an idea for that, you guys. I don't know if anybody is big picture takers or little picture takers, but how I reflect, because I don't always look through my journal or my book of shadows on what I've done. I actually go back through my pictures and that kind of gives me a record of like, oh yeah, I remember when I did that, or oh, this happened, or a funny time when I hung out with a friend, or just something. So the pictures for the year are sort of how I do my reflection. And then I go through and also delete out all the extra duplicate things that I don't need.
That you don't need to be paying for in cloud
which
storage.
is like, I don't need, 50 gigs of photos in my cloud storage. So
I have a video of the same sunset. Like, I swear, I've got more.
I know the sunset.
Like, I have so many sunset photos, and after a while, they all look the same.
I know, we do too.
How many sunset photos do you need?
I know what I have. How many do I need? Probably not a lot, but I probably have like 200, 300. Yeah.
So this is a good time if you can find some quiet space to do something like that. Like, take a look back, sit down with your journal.
All of them.
Look at what you did over the last year, the things you accomplished, and then also
or even things that you didn't accomplish.
Yeah, I was thinking about things that
try.
you wanted to accomplish that you actually, you're like, okay, I really had in mind that I was gonna study this astrology book. So I bought this astrology book. I started reading it, and then it sat on a shelf. This is real.
This is real life.
This is real. So I got to like chapter 3, and then I put it on a shelf with a little bookmark in it. And guess what? It sat there for like 4 months. I'm like, man, okay, so next year, do I like make that my goal? So this is also another really good time to like set goals. And to like look at, to use divination, tarot cards. Or I'm assuming when you say divination that you're talking about tarot cards here.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's our go-to for divination is tarot cards. But
we always do a year ahead spread. 13
cards.
13 cards. And then we write that down in our journal to say like what each month is what
we can sort of expect. So we're doing divination for the year ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And it just basically goes in sort of a diamond shape. And you pull a 13th card for the middle. And that middle card just represents the theme of the year that you might be coming back to all the time, or something that rules over your situations. But we write down the energy of what each month, what we might need to prepare for or look at or understand. And I don't know how good we are about, as the month happens, do we look back and see
very
what
good.
our card
I'm going to admit to that. But it's nice to look at it and go like, okay, so in like April, I can expect some shit to be jumping off, right? Because it's a really like, ew, this card's like challenge. But see, what was, I had a thought about something.
You had a thought.
Like it totally went out the window. Yeah. Sorry. Shoot.
No, that's okay.
Because it was a good one. It'll come back to me.
It'll come back to you. So our year ahead spread, we usually get together with different groups of people. So if you want to do the same spread with many people, that's fine. I know that last year I did my year ahead spread with a different group of people besides my mom and sister. And so when we all did theirs, I'm like, here's what happened in mine. So I only did it once. But it doesn't mean you can't do it twice. It means, we'd like to get our way, right? Like, oh, I wonder if I can get better cards this time.
Okay, so here's something else you can do that you can reflect on now. It's like, what do you want your word or your theme to be for 2023?
Yes.
So for Jamie, I think your word this year was community. So this is like, what do you want to expand? And I think it's about expansion, right? Or
it's growth, expansion, learning. It can be healing too. I've done my healing. That journey. It still pops its head up all the time because I still have a teenager kid, so that is always an issue.
And family.
But for me, I really wanted to get my network and my friends and really own that and be true to that. So it's been always, since being in the military, it's just been hard to stay in contact with people. I don't feel like I've been a good friend. And then I met some ladies that were awesome. And I told them my story. Was like, I'm not a great friend. Help me. Let's connect. Let's continue to do things. Like, don't let this fail. If I don't contact you, like, please message me. I need help.
True. Yeah.
I needed help creating a community that I can get together with and feel comfortable with, because I definitely have like anxiety and deal with, I'm so much more safe if I'm by myself and I don't expose myself to people or whatever.
I think with experiences that we have in life, it just feels safer, more comfortable to sort of draw, close
what's comfortable.
Put the walls up around us and be like, I don't, do I really need people in my life? Yeah, no, maybe not.
Yeah.
So
I didn't want that anymore. I wanted to change
this is
it.
think about what do you want your word to be? Like your overriding, like what do you want to accomplish? Like big theme.
It's a theme.
The theme
right.
for
and then
2023.
The biggest thing is then creating actionable items to help you achieve your theme. So that was me telling the truth to my friends, saying, hey, this is my word for the year, and I really want to create this. Can you help me? Asking for help is a great way to also go through that.
Well, and then she did things throughout the years. Like she planned get-togethers. She had
parties at my house.
She had parties. Well, she had gatherings. Witch gatherings here.
Yeah.
You also went like every other week to your friend's house to do tarot.
Yep.
She did that with her friends for a month until life got in the way. So like
5 months.
You decide like, what's my theme? What's the thing that I want to, but then you got to do the action. So just like in everything in witchcraft, you can't just be like, I wish, and you do this spell and then don't do anything, because you have to feed it.
You have to do
you have to do the thing. You have to put in the effort towards it. So, okay. So divination for clarity on future endeavors. All right. And now Jamie is going to talk to us about herbs.
Well, you're going to read them. All right. So,
okay. So
listen, food is big around this time of year. I think everybody agrees with that. Like all the makings of the food and stuff. So I really wanted to bring out, these are mostly spices. Did you bring the candy thing? Oh yeah. Okay. These are spices that go into a lot of foods around this season, but you can get them. What is the word? It comes out like a shaker instead of the whole thing. Ground. You can have them ground and put them in things. So I encourage you to smell them, and you could do just that. Like you don't have to get them and do anything with them besides smell them. I put down smelling things while you reflect on your year. It helps bring out the senses. And
scents are really a sense. SENTS. Sense. The smells are super, like they're very powerful and evoking feelings and just like calming. So the first one we're going to talk about is cardamom.
No, cardamom.
Sorry.
Cardamom.
I know somebody named cardamom. Like, okay. So this herb are these the properties of it?
Yes.
Cardamom
is for
love, warmth, healing.
Mm-hmm.
Smell it while you reflect.
Yes.
So
Kat's never smelled it.
I don't know this. I
want to see her reaction. Okay, give it a whiff.
Oh, it's earthy.
All right. What else? You want to smell out of the jar? It's sort of small and green, like a pistachio kind of looking thing. Oops. And it's very much.
Is it a nut? It looks like a nut.
Well, all seeds are nuts, but yes. Seeds and nuts.
So it literally looks like a nut.
It does. It looks like a little pistachio.
Cardamom.
Yeah, when you break it open.
And it looks like a little, so you can see the little green bean, and it's got stuff in it. So I've never used this. I've never even seen it before.
It's in other things, and it can go by another name. So, but it's in all kinds of holiday spices, pumpkin spice.
What is it? What's the smell I'm smelling?
What is it? Yeah, that's what I'm asking you. Like, what does it bring back as a memory as far as the smell goes? Like what food or drink?
Something exotic.
Oh, an exotic dish?
Yeah, something exotic.
Thai food?
To me, yeah, it smells exotic.
It's great. It smells awesome. So, some cardamom.
Cinnamon, which, oh my gosh.
Okay. We all know cinnamon.
Is cinnamon like the best spice in the world?
I keep lots of cinnamon around. This is something I use for health a lot. It's also definitely protection and prosperity. But cinnamon is a bark from a tree.
Oh my gosh.
So there's a cinnamon tree and they peel the bark from it. And this is how we get cinnamon sticks.
That
And it's
smells
ground up
wonderful.
into cinnamon. If you didn't know it, it's a, I can't say the word. It turns into a gel when wet for too long. So it will actually turn into kind of a goop, the powdered kind. So if you put cinnamon in water, you can get it kind of jellies the way that chai seeds will gel up when you add water over time. But cinnamon. All right. So what does cinnamon make you smell of? I mean, what does it remind you of?
Oh, every holiday, like Thanksgiving and Christmas, like, you know, apple pie and mom, and just
Apple pie, mom.
it's a very it's very nostalgic. So there's lots of nostalgia behind cinnamon because of all the, you know, I mean, who didn't have their mother making an apple pie in the kitchen when they were growing up? I did.
I don't know if you made me an apple pie when I was
Oh my
up.
gosh, she's totally calling me out on not making her an apple pie. I can't believe that.
I expect one in 4 days. I expect one.
So this,
I love cinnamon.
well, I do know that I made cinnamon rolls.
Yes.
I made the little
Definitely.
sticky buns.
Yes.
Remember the sticky buns?
Cinnamon has always been a dessert flavor for me.
I'm not a big pie maker. That's probably true.
We were cookies and fudge and all that.
Cookies, fudge, buns, sticky buns with cinnamon. Oh, they're so good.
So I challenge you guys to add cinnamon to something that is salty. It's going to blow your mind, but cinnamon actually goes with dishes that are salty. Just try it, whether it's a baked potato or whatever. I know it seems like it's a sweet spice, but it's fiery and it's a warming spice, so it goes really well with.
And wait, salty. Cinnamon is something you were going to put in our drinks, our shakes.
Oh yeah,
shakes like
cinnamon and vanilla together. So I make a protein shake that's basically like the superfoods, like vanilla mix. And then spinach, which is awesome because when it's fresh, you don't even taste it. And then because of the vanilla and the cinnamon go together, and cinnamon is so good for your blood. Like it really helps with circulation. So if you have blood problems of any kind, cinnamon is great for that. For congestion, when you smell it, it's great for that, for clearing up your nose.
And cinnamon, by the way, so cinnamon is for success, power, and protection. Yes. And use it whatever your favorite way to use it. If you sprinkle it in your
coffee. I put it in my coffee.
Or you sprinkle it on your toast with some sugar, or
I thought you said toast.
Toast.
You said toast.
Toast, like cinnamon sugar toast. Oh
there's there's definitely cinnamon warming things, right? You know what I just remembered, you guys? Cinnamon toothpicks from when I was a kid.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody had those hot, spicy
I love those.
Toothpicks.
They make your breath smell so good. I have cinnamon floss, in fact.
Cinnamon.
I think it's cinnamon, or is it peppermint? One or the other. Okay. Cloves. So next is cloves, and cloves are for wealth. Mm-hmm. So cloves, the thing I remember about cloves, oh my gosh. So the ham. So my mom would make the ham with the pineapples and stick the cloves in it.
I love the way cloves smell.
They smell really good.
Cloves, to me, if anybody's ever been in a fresh tobacco shop, cloves have a little bit of a earthy tobacco smell to me. So they're also
they're really nice.
Yeah, I think they're awesome. And they're they're a seed from a flower plant. So it buds off and it's got this little tiny thing on it. Oh wow, I wasn't looking at the screen at all. And it looks like a little.
You can't see. You got to put it up against your hand.
It's like hello cloves. These are
they almost look like pickup jacks. Things
oh yeah,
yeah,
like
you
toys.
Know the jacks. Is that what it was with the ball with the jacks? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, the next is peppermint.
And you said cloves are for wealth. I put that down.
Did I say wealth?
I put that down as just a wealth scent. Okay.
So let's see. Last is peppermint for purification, sleep, healing. This is a candy.
I brought candy. I don't think I have peppermint tea because most people, peppermint is a way to ease your stomach pains. But for me, it's actually, it's weird to say that it's spicy and it makes my stomach feel cold and I don't like it. So it's supposed to be really helpful. If you have essence of peppermint, you can eat peppermint leaves, which I grow mint leaves. I don't grow peppermint leaves. Same thing. You can eat them, add them to drinks, put them on stuff. They are amazing. If you've never had watermelon and mint together, I urge you to do this. It is fantastic. And it can be peppermint and watermelon. Any kind of mint and watermelon is either a good drink or a snack. Oh, fresh peppermint. Oh my gosh. So good. So peppermint is for what?
Purification, sleep, healing.
Yes. So
And it's easy to find in a tea. So
peppermint tea is like from the olden days. People have been giving peppermint tea as remedies, as health remedies for a really long time. Getting hot, huh?
I'm hot and my crown is heavy.
You guys, you see this crown that she built? This.
I made this. And you know what it's really good for when you're done wearing it as a crown? You know, I put it on the dining room table and put a candle in the middle of it. Yeah. It was really pretty.
It goes so well. You're a unicandle.
Okay. All right. Well. So do you have anything else on your list? Because there's something that I want to talk about.
Yes, Capricorn season.
That's it. Capricorn season. I was going to talk about that.
Well, I'm going to talk about it
too. So we're okay. All right. So
switching gears
a little bit.
Because there are 4 cardinal signs. Okay. 4 cardinal signs.
What do cardinal signs mean?
Cardinal signs are all about. Hold on. I wrote that down. All right. I don't know if I wrote that down, but what cardinal signs mean to me, they are the beginning, they create the structure, and they are about actionable items. So there are 4 cardinal zodiac signs, and they start off each season. And I don't know if anybody's ever made this connection, but the winter solstice, the spring equinox, the summer solstice, and the fall equinox. Those are when the cardinal zodiacs start. And
so they're, by the way, so just to clarify what she's saying,
yes,
they're the front runners of the zodiac.
They're the beginners
of the zodiac universe as they initiate the beginning of the 4 seasons.
Yes.
So here we are, the beginning
of winter.
The winter, and it is Capricorn season. And Capricorn is all about.
So with Capricorn being a cardinal earth sign, I feel like I was in speech class just then.
She did take speech class.
I did. I had a speech impediment. Blah, blah, blah. So when I mess up, I just laugh about it. So with it being a cardinal earth sign, it's a starter, a beginning, and being in tune with the physical realm, right? So that cardinal energy, meaning that starter, the beginning with action, and it being an earth sign, this is in the physical realm. This is why we're making actionable items to do for the coming year.
And this is why this season is about beginnings and rebirth. So it fits right in with the zodiac. You know, did you know this? Because I did not know that.
Yeah. Well, yes, but I've been doing this a long time, so it's not fair if you ask me.
So if you guys don't know, if you didn't know, you're like, no, you didn't know. So
Making
we're learning,
the connections
we're learning all the time.
So during Capricorn season, we have the new year, which Capricorn is all about creating the structures and plans and being actionable, having that efficiency or the plan to move forward. That's what Capricorn is about. And so it happens, it starts now when the sun is being reborn and coming back to us. And then in our new year for the Gregorian calendar, which if you guys don't know, we used to be in a Julian calendar before we had leap years, and we fell like 10 days out of balance with the universe, with the stars in alignment. And they said, hey, what the hell? There's a problem. And so somebody else came up with a new calendar. And in the 1700s, we finally accepted the fact that we need a leap year. And we have the Gregorian calendar now. So that's when April Fools and all that, the rumor of April Fools happened, where that used to be the start of our new year, but is no longer. Lots of information on that one. I know too many things. So the Capricorn season is really about discipline. This is the sea goat. So if you think about the Capricorn as a symbol, it is a goat upper body and a fish lower body. It's why the symbol looks like the V, like horns, but it has this weird little thing on the side of it with a little swirly. That's actually the swirl of a fishtail. Sometimes it looks like it's a fishtail, and other times it looks like it's a little degrees symbol above the sign, but it means the sea goat, okay? And the sea goat is known for conquering mountains. So what do we need to conquer mountains? We need to have a plan. We need to have fortitude. We need to have strength and determination. Those are all Capricorn symbols or traits. But then also, what do we have to have in order to have determination. We have to be able to have like our minds right. So that fish tail is actually being internally connected, like emotionally connected with our dreams, desires, and goals. So that's why Capricorn is really important for the start of a new year, because it aligns our emotional side, the water side of the sea goat, with our physical elements of conquering mountains together. So whenever you're confused about what a Capricorn is, think of the sea goat, aligning your emotions and your physical presence with your goals and desires. So the other thing is practicality. It gets its practicality because the planet that rules Capricorn is Saturn. Now, I know everybody remembers we just talked about a holiday from Rome. Saturnella, like citronella, which keeps mosquitoes away. Saturnella was the Saturn god of agriculture that they celebrated way back when. So the seasons all make sense. This is where, when you have been in the witchcraft practice a long time, all of the things are like, holy crap, it's a connect the dots and everything matches and it lines up. And you're like, oh, there's so many underlying systems that go together. Yeah. So the practical ambition, bringing in practicality, means that you don't make dreams that are so far and big that it's like, okay, I don't actually believe I can conquer that. It's being very practical about it can still be a dream and it can still be wild and crazy, but you have to be practical about getting to it, like actually coming up with the steps to get you where you want to be. Now, Saturn is also the planet of limitations. So in this season, it's acknowledging your limitations, but it can be growing from like, if you know your limitations, you can grow from that, right? You know where you're starting, you just add knowledge to it. So you can do research to get there. You can have practice. You can ask friends. Mentorship is really big in the Capricorn season because Saturn can be that authority figure that comes in and becomes your mentor. It's often why people start new endeavors, or like they want to restart everything. It's why on January 1, everybody shows up at the gym and everybody who's been going.
New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
This is where New Year's resolutions come from.
This is everybody trying to do something different and having a plan of attack to get there. Okay, so I think I said that there needs to be structure, understanding your own limits. These are actionable items, so write down things that you can actually do. And then the last thing I have is to focus on the concrete, and it's time to get real and make plans. I literally wrote that. But as a theory for the season, that's what it is. It's time to get real and make plans. It's like no more BS, no more fluff, no more excuses. Let's get real. Let's make plans. Let's do the things that I want to accomplish for 2023.
Well, we have time. Once the holidays are over and the craziness of the holidays are over, then you sort of have this lull after the beginning of the year. And it's still dark. You still got lots of time to meditate and sleep. And the days are short. So you have time, to sort of like if you're not able to do that over the next couple of weeks before the end of the year, doesn't have to be on January 1 that you do these. It's something that you kind of set your, in January sometime, like be thinking about it now. And then in January, like get real, write it down, pull some cards, get some direction, make a plan. Set your year out. What do you want to accomplish next year? What do you want? What's the one thing you'd like to do? Focus on growth. If it's whatever. It might be a job.
Accomplishments.
Yeah.
So
it could be anything.
I think the only thing that I didn't add to my notes is the numerology for next year. So one of the things on why 2022 was a good year for community for me is it's a 6 year. It equals the number 6. 6 is about family, connection. It's the number of the Cancer. So all the things around the home and just building like your base. Well, next year, of course, is a 7. And 7 is the number that is literally for reflection. It faces backwards over all the other numbers. And it's a spiritual number. So if you're coming into this journey and you really want to explore your spirituality, next year is the year for that. It's going to aid you in almost every way possible.
That's going to be my word for the year. Spirituality.
We also have
more about for me, it's like there's a huge learning element to that, because I really just want to absorb everything. So.
When you dive into your spirituality, it's also about educating yourself and deciding what you believe for yourself. I always tell people that that's where they should start, is understanding, all right, well, you're going to have like a starting point of where your ethics and morals are, right? Your moral is like what you believe is the best way to act and be in your society. And the ethics are like how you do that, the way that you react to things, what you hold yourself accountable for. So when you know what you're starting at, okay, here's the things that I think are true and that I'm going to act and live by. And then you educate yourself on if you want to get somewhere further, if you have questions about something. I know one of the big questions that we get asked that is tough, because I feel like it's our one downfall as using the word witch, is people ask about devil possessions, hexes, exorcisms. What is it? Hexes and what? Curses. And so people think that all witches practice things like that or know about them. And I have to be very honest immediately and say, never done it, never would. Don't think that people should. Don't believe in them. I think that if you have a string of bad luck or things happening to you, usually it's because you live in a fear mindset and that you attract things to you, or life is trying to give you signs to get you out of something. That's why nothing's working out for you. It wants you to take a different path. The path that you're trying to go down. It's like, stop. No, this isn't good. Don't do it. Turn around. Leave now. So I don't know where I was going with that as far as, for spirituality. Figure out where you're starting and grow from there.
So I love, Billy, you've already got your word for 2023, which is magic.
I love that. That's a great word.
I love that.
Yes.
That's a great word. So
yes.
It reminds me of, I watched Meghan and Harry, which I love them. If anybody doesn't, I don't want to hear about it, because they're my
opinions. It's just opinions. Yeah.
And she said the year that she met him, she was, had decided to be single. And her friend that she worked with on a show that she was doing said, make sure you leave room for magic for the summer. And then she met her future husband. So I love magic. Magic can be a lot of things. It's
different for everybody what it means, but
yeah,
I think it has the same feeling for everybody who says magic. Like even with Disney, I guess, Disney's whole thing around magic. It kind of makes you angry when you grow up after watching Disney movies and you're like, oh wait, that's not real life. You don't really get the prince right away if you're good and honest and work hard or whatever. And now you're gonna get a couple of dirtbags first so you can learn some lessons and grow a little, and then you can have a good one. It's like, oh, thanks Disney, that you totally tricked me there. But it's just interpreting the what you're doing. I can say honestly with those relationships, I had lots of red flags. Did I ignore them? Yes, I did, because I wanted what I wanted and I got what I didn't. And so lesson learned both times that I tried that. Yeah. Because, repeating a lesson once isn't enough. You got to do it a second time just to make sure it sticks.
And my lessons they last like 20 years. So, my whole life has been lessons. Hard ones.
As life should be. I think I mentioned on a meetup one time, you guys, that like it would seem that I'm so grown and healed and whatever I am together. I don't know, educated in the things of all the ways to get what I want and whatever, that life wouldn't still have problems for me. And yet, if it didn't, how could I continue to grow or evolve in some way? So it's not always focusing on why does this stuff keep happening to me? It's bad, it's awful, whatever. It's like, all right, this is an opportunity to grow something about myself. How do I choose to handle it? Because remember, we're always just in control of ourselves and not what other people are doing. So,
and that's a really hard thing to accept. That
it's
we're
so
not,
hard to
especially
accept.
when it comes to kids,
relationships,
and even when your kids are grown, like, and you see your kids sort of veering off in the wrong direction, or your grandkids, in my case, and you can't
stop them.
You can't stop
change
it.
them,
you can't change
persuade them,
save them. You can't save them. So one of my biggest challenges, because I'm really close with Jamie. I'm here a lot, so I see my grandson a lot, who's 17. So he's a typical 17-year-old, underdeveloped brain,
male
maturity,
underdeveloped male brain.
Yeah, exactly. So he's going to be 25 before he's actually the whole brain is developed. But I have to bite my tongue, and I'm grandma, and I really want to say, Cameron, pull him aside and be like, listen, I did all, but I know better, because I know what I did, and I wasn't listening to anybody. He's not going to listen either. So all I can do is be like, think it, and just like send goodwill with him, and just hope that he stays safe. That's the biggest thing. Like, stay safe. So. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. We're coming up. Yeah, we're getting close. We're at 8:00. So
okay.
I don't know that we saw really any questions. If anybody has a question, now would be the time. to ask, or maybe if you know your word, you can share it if you want to. If you don't want to share it right now, if you've had some time to think about like what's your word going to be next year, how do you want to evolve in your spiritual practice, your witch practice? What would you like to do in 2023?
Yeah.
What's your word for 2023?
I have not made my
You
word
don't
yet.
have a word?
I don't have a word. Why
I
do you have
can't
to call me
believe
out
it.
on everybody? I've been thinking about it.
I can't believe you don't have a word. You're
I
always so
mean,
on it.
I have time. I have like 10 days. I have 10 days, damn it.
Actually, you have probably January, so.
Yes. That's probably another good thing to reiterate. So there are four holidays in which we celebrate as witches. There's 8 of them that are things that actually happen in the sky. So they do have real dates, real firm dates, because those things are happening in the night sky. It's like full moon or whatever. But I want everybody to understand that there's still a season for that. Like, we're in solstice season. It's been a couple days before this. It's today. The event is happening. And there will be a couple days after this. So never feel too pressured as dates are upon you you have to get something done. It's the wrong way to go into it. If the things are coming up and you've tried to allot time and it doesn't work out, it just wasn't meant for that time. And look for another time to do the work that you want to do.
Yeah.
I know that we have new moon coming up right after this. It's like the 23rd new moon is coming.
Well, look, isn't it new moon now?
I
don't know.
I don't know.
I'm looking at my watch. There's
Yeah.
no moon on my watch. So.
Reba says that the new supermoon starts tonight. So
supermoon.
3 days. I didn't know that there was another. Well, I don't know what a new supermoon is, but regardless, as the new moon approaches, it's just another thing for new beginnings. Something to know about new moons is that when you want to do like spells or rituals for that time, give yourself 6 months until that same sign is in the full moon. So it would be 6 months from now. So that'll be Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I should know this. In 6 months, when the Capricorn full moon comes around, that's when you can really look towards the fruition or like things coming to a realization for your spells or rituals that you do, giving it that full 6 month time frame.
So I see that Miriam mentioned that Mercury retrograde is next week. So I think
for a year.
So there's 4 a year, and even though most people are like, oh, Mercury retrograde, there's going to be all this miscommunication and stuff. Sometimes there is. So I guess I just want to say that Mercury retrograde or retrogrades in general are not a time to be feared. They're more of a time to slow down. Like it's a slow down period. It's like that's what's happening in the sky.
Attention.
Yeah, paying more attention, but don't fear those periods of time when Mercury's in retrograde. You're
any
like, oh
retrograde.
My God, any retrograde. Oh, I can't do this or I can't do that. That's not true. Just
so what's really cool about retrogrades is that in the sky, it's actually dipping back in sometimes to a different. It's going back to the same place that it was a couple weeks prior. So that's when things come up again that you've already dealt with, where like a problem will re-arise and you're like, oh man, I thought I dealt with that, but something else happens with it because the planet will actually go back a couple degrees in the chart. That's what a retrograde will symbolize, And sometimes when it's on the cusp, it'll go from, say, Pisces back to Aquarius or something, or from Aries back into Pisces. And new emotions will come up with that situation that's like, oh, man, another time to look at that, another reason to look at it. So for all retrogrades that end up happening are that way.
And also I'd like to just say, in general, living in fear brings fear to you. Generally speaking, like fear, if you have a mindset of like, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that, that's drawing that energy
what we
to
think
you.
About, we bring about.
Right.
What we think about, we bring about.
I mean, danger's real, but fear's a choice. So that's from a song by
What'd you
Walker.
say? Wait, say it again.
Danger's real, but fear is a choice. That's from a Walker Hayes song. Walker Hayes is my new guy, right? But I see we have a couple of questions about tarot. Yeah. Yes. So Cindy wants to know if I like the idea of divination with 13 cards. Can I do it if I've never really done tarot? Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just want to tell you something, Cindy. We still read the definitions of the cards all the time. So we don't pull the cards and then then intuit what we think the cards. We read what the authors say because we really like to hear
The message.
yeah. From the author. Our favorite, mine and JV's both favorite author are cards tarot right deck. Now. Tarot decks are by Kim Kranz.
Yep.
And
the Wild Unknown Tarot is
but you can use the Rider-Waite and just
any of the tarots.
You can use any of them. Yep. So read your definitions and just summarize like what each of those months, the theme of that is going to be. So you can absolutely
writing it down.
Write it down.
Yes. Keep a record of it.
And then let's see. Somebody else said, I have a deck of tarot cards. The complete kit.
That's Cindy also.
Okay. Yes, you can do that with any. You can do it with any tarot.
I don't know what the complete kit means, but I'm assuming it has all the tarot in it and a book that comes with it. Yeah. So that is absolutely on point.
Yep.
And we told you our way of doing it, which is 12 cards around and one in the middle, and the one in the middle is the theme for the year, and each one is represents.
So like you lay down January, February, March, April, so you do it like this little circle, and then the one in the middle is your overall theme.
Yeah.
And then you just
there's probably more online, but that's just the one that we happen to do. It's easy. It's fun to go through and kind of be like, oh man, how many of us have a rough May or something like that? What's that the start of? What season is that?
All right. So Homero, I hope I'm saying that right. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. So during this time of the thick of shadow, would you recommend for Capricorn, such as myself, to do in order to prevent any unwanted, mischievous endeavors?
All right. So first question is, when you say mischievous, unwanted, is it by you or by others?
Unwanted, mischievous endeavors.
Yes. All right. I guess for that, I'm going to assume that this is within your life, whether it's people or you doing like getting yourself into projects that don't align. For a Capricorn, it's really important to understand what your purpose is and how you can help. A Capricorn is in its best light when it knows what its function is, because then it can act accordingly. So structure is like your best friend. So if you don't have habits right now, if you don't have a routine, you should work on getting something that feels more routine. And it doesn't have to be your entire day is planned out, but a morning routine and an evening routine, or something about your lunch period.
Capricorns need purpose, don't they?
No, that's what I was saying. Like understanding where you're at and what
you're
working towards.
I was married to one, and he was totally focused on like work. Mm-hmm. That was his whole life. And I think without that, he would have been completely lost.
And depending on depending on your placements, it's like, do you need work that's really meaningful, or do you need work that's really rewarded from others? Is it an external reward system that you need, or an internal reward system that you need for the work that you do?
He needed to make money, so that was his whole thing. That was his validation.
Yeah,
so he had a job that paid him well. He brought home the bacon. That was his validation in this world at that time. Yeah. Didn't really work with me, but anyway, that's a whole nother story.
Depending on where Venus lies in your chart, it'll be the physical things that are really attractive to you, or if Mercury tends to be your ruler, it will be using your mind and your skills, communication, like people efforts. So
I hope that helps.
Yeah, I hope that helps, because it's a really broad question, but we gave you some ideas to think about and look at. But Capricorns need purpose and structure for sure. That would be the one thing that I would tell you.
And as far as unwanted, mischievous endeavors, wow, that's a lot of adjectives.
Why does that remind me of like Alice in Wonderland, going down the rabbit hole? Like I don't know why that's the vision I got.
Yeah, it's just like.
So mischievousness comes when the mind is bored. We get into things because we want to occupy our time and be solving problems. We create problems so that we can solve them. So when you get into mischievous
things, this is without a purpose. This is you without your real purpose. You like doing other things, sort of distraction. Distractions to fill up your time, because you haven't found the thing that's like really satisfying to you that you really want to do.
Yeah.
We know somebody like this who's kind of like unhappy and fills his life with all these experiences because he's really dissatisfied. So this whole life is like all these experiences and just stuff, like constant stuff. But yet when he goes home, it's sort of a mess. But so he's out here like distracting himself because he hasn't really dealt with the stuff. So that was probably off a little bit. But anyway, I just want to say we know somebody. We happen to know somebody who's sort of like that. It's like distractions.
It reminds me of treading water. Okay. So you're active, you're moving, things are happening, but you're going nowhere. Like, so it's never fulfilling. You never get to a place. If you're just using the distraction of treading water, you're like, I'm moving, look at me, I'm staying afloat, I'm doing something, but it doesn't have any purpose to it. So like, why are we in the water? Why are we treading
intention?
It? Which side? Intention behind it.
Yeah. Where's your intention? What do you want to,
what do you want to be, grow into, do?
Where do you want to go?
Yeah.
You know, you're here on a witch live YouTube talking to witches.
A witch live YouTube.
Yeah, and
not live on YouTube with witches.
And I assume maybe you've been on some of our meetup classes. I hope. If you haven't, we invite you to join. We start up the Beginner Witch series March 6th. Thank you. So if you haven't, so you're here for a reason. Have you figured that reason out yet? And if you haven't, this is really good time. This dark part of the year, this after the holidays, of course, with all the craziness is over and all the Christmas wrapping paper is gone and the trees put away and all that stuff, to just kind of like breathe and think and write and spend time with yourself and just sort of like, you know, where am I going? What do I want to do? And really reflect on that. So we'll hope you keep out of mischievous, unwanted endeavors.
Oh man, I'm being called out a little bit by Tracy. Okay, news on the January classes for the Academy.
Tracy,
thank you, Tracy. I love that. Okay, I don't have any news besides the fact that it's a lot harder than I thought it would be, and I'm doing my best effort. I did get somebody the other day who wanted to help me, and I'm really considering taking some help, because it's just a lot more that I have to figure out. I'm literally in charge of everything. Kat works a full-time job, so that's hard. And the class is so important to me and I really want to bring you guys something. So I guess I'll say we have 12 people on right now, and I'm going to need like 5 test subjects to run through the course before I actually publish it.
And start charging for it. So the 5
test people would be free, 5 people. I haven't really put it out there just yet. I know there's a small group here, so I feel safe doing that now. I have only one person in mind that I would ask to go through it. And then everybody else, it's like, I'll need a commitment of, can you spend, upwards of, 13 to 20 hours within a couple weeks, maybe even just 2 weeks. Yeah. It would be a commitment. And
it's a commitment.
And I would just be asking for like one-on-one work with it or something, because I want to see how at least 5 different people feel about it before we make it live.
We need to test.
So if I can't get 5 people to commit, if I can get 3 or 4, I'll probably still launch it. It'll be towards the end of January.
We have 3, 4 people. Like, there's all kinds of people who are like, I'll do it. I'll do it. Do we keep that?
I don't know. I don't remember. This is only our second line.
Oh my gosh.
If you're interested in helping us out and going through the program for free, which can be upwards of 20 hours worth of going through it between videos and reading and some homework. Okay.
Yeah. It's a thing.
It's like a commitment.
Yeah.
Email us at 7greensisters, spelled out 7greensisters@gmail.com. I'm putting that way out there. I mean, our contact information is on the YouTube channel anyways, but if you're really interested, just email us on that and say, I'm interested in taking the course and being your test subject or, test witch.
We're going to need your feedback from it. So
feedback,
be
phone
aware
calls,
that we'll need your commitment to finish the course, to communicate with us back.
It'll be phone calls with me.
Yeah.
And probably with Kat.
And give us your thoughts. So you'll go through the course, and then you'll be like, okay, this is what worked. This didn't work. I really like this. This doesn't make sense.
Here's what was confusing. Yes.
Yeah, this was confusing. This was a question that didn't get answered that would have been really helpful. So it's stuff like that. So we need some live test subjects. So again, 7, SEVEN, green, GREEN, SISTERS at
7greensisters.
gmail.com. 7greensisters@gmail.com.
Yep.
All right.
And we
really appreciate that
Thank you.
all are
You guys are so sweet.
like offering to be our and with that, I
Yes.
think you can just not be we'll push it out there.
Yeah. I mean, after that, it'll go and we'll do updates and stuff. So it's very exciting. We're so excited, and
it
so
is a
ready.
bit nerve-wracking though. It is nerve-wracking because
scary.
everything we've done up to this point has been, just free information that we provided to people. But when you start asking people to pay for stuff, that changes the dynamic of it. Like, people expect to get something out of that. And so we want to make sure that we live up to that expectation, and that we're giving value for the money that people will pay for the course. So,
all right. So here's another idea. If you can't commit the 20 hours and several phone calls with us, if you'd like to use that email and say what you'd like to see in the course, we would also take that information, like what would be most helpful to you. Just ideas. It doesn't have to be super elaborate, or just concise. Not elaborate, but it can be concise. Things that would help you on your journey at this point. That's it. Because we are doing it is the New Witch Academy of Modern Magic. So we're doing modern things, and we're doing it for new witches, which is hard for me because I've been practicing for 25 years. It's hard to get myself back in what new witches need sometimes. So you guys being there for me to help serve you, we're doing this thing.
What do you need? Be thinking about it.
Yes. So let us know what you need, and we can make sure that we've covered those subjects in depth.
Thank you. Yes. Your emails are coming through for those of you who are responding. Thank you so much. We appreciate. Yeah, they're showing up on my watch. I see Reba, and I think I saw Roman. Reba and Roman both already sent us an email message. And Cindy.
Yay!
Thank you so much.
Thank you, you guys. All right, wonderful.
All right. Okay, you guys.
I hope you guys have a wonderful Yule season. I hope that you're able to experience Christmas with people and not think too much about the fact that it's religious or connected to anything that you maybe don't feel wholeheartedly. I know that for myself, my ending thought is that I think Jesus was real, and he was probably a very awesome guy. And I'm sad that the church took it the way that they did. I think if he was here today, he might be disappointed. There's often people that say, Jesus was a witch. And I'm like, well, that might be going a little far, but maybe he performed miracles.
Well, if only more people actually lived what Jesus preached, which was
rather than the
poor,
church's rules.
Helping the poor. And, he was all about helping people.
Yeah.
That was his thing.
Love and light.
It's unfortunate what religion's turned into, which is why we're not religious anymore.
It's rules. Religion equals rules.
Yeah,
so
patriarchy and blah, blah, blah.
We hope you have a wonderful holiday, and I'm guessing that this will be just available in a couple of minutes. I don't know. I forget how live works, but we will see you guys in a couple of weeks. We're going to do another live for something I can't remember at the moment.
We don't have any classes scheduled until March 6th for a new Beginner Witch series. So we'll be doing some live things. Just look for that.
Yes.
And we'll see you next. Hope to see you next time.
All right. Good night, you guys. Bye. Bye. Yay.